So for anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Jerome Walters. I think we all, all of us in our jobs, we all want to be the next, digital success story. What that is sometimes is a question in my mind, what is really a digital success story? But hopefully today we'll have at least some good examples of what a digital success story would look like, and hopefully something that we can take forward. So with that, I'll introduce Paolo Garadu from OutSystems. I won't say your title because I know it was wrong there before. And also Steve Collins might also help on a demo at the end if we've got time. If we've got any questions as we go to, feel free to jump in, and hopefully there's a few minutes at the end for questions. Okay, take it away, guys.
Thank you very much. Okay, what we want to show you over here is exactly what OutSystems thinks that is a digital transformation, and with the digital transformation it comes good success stories. Why digital transformation? If we look into what happened in the industry a long time ago, we noticed that companies that started on a specific area, they stayed there for a long, long time. But suddenly, after a period, what is happening is some companies are disrupting the way that businesses are actually how businesses are actually operating, and this is a sign of a disruption that most of the times comes with automation. Automation is one of the things that comes with digital transformation. You want to do better, you want to do it faster, but how can you achieve this? In IT, to achieve this type of automation, it's quite a challenge. Let's try to break down this a little bit. From the IT point of view, software, it's still seen as handcrafted. It's like building a furniture. You need to do it by hand. It's since the beginning like this. You have developers coding, and how can we disrupt this process? This process could be disrupted looking into the entire life cycle of the software development. If we try to do this, we already know that there are some specific areas where cloud is creating some disruption. 10 years ago, it was still data centers hosted on-premise and so on, and now suddenly you have the opportunity to do it using the cloud. On top of the cloud, you have also the opportunity to run platforms, run the software there. Instead of just hosting the servers, you can already go and easily get some support from platforms that run also on top of the cloud. Looking into the other side of the software development, you already have the infrastructure. You need to operate what you are going to build. In here, you already have something that simplifies this process. With DevOps, you already have a bunch of tools that are able to simplify. Instead of do it manually, you can simplify this process doing with some tools. But in the middle, actually where you are going to code, what is happening? And this is the space where we think that instead of doing it manually, you can look into tools like OutSystems and others, but that are going to place an important role there with low-code. Low-code is for us the disruption, the way that you build your own software. Low-code could be seen as a whole cycle. It could cover all the spectrum of the software development, but in the end, this is the answer to go and replace what is actually, since the beginning, handcrafted and do it in a more automated way. Now, digital. Digital transformation. If you look into digital, we understand digital, it's the way that you provide what the customers or the users inside the organization want to see on a specific moment. Again, 10 years ago it was everything on paper or still already with some kind of digital channels that were available, but very, very hard to use. And for us, digital in nowadays, it's to get exactly what I want on that specific moment. It doesn't matter how I'm going to get the information I want to see it. That's digital in nowadays. But to achieve digital, to achieve this way of fast response inside the organization, you need to create what we call a software factory in order to provide fast response to this demand that comes from your organization. The factory, if you do it on a manual way, again, it will be quite painful. That's why looking into ways of automation, it will be much, much faster for you. But sometimes automation means also that you are going to lose control. You don't want to lose control. You want to automate exactly what you control, and you don't want to do activities that are going to be repeated. You want to avoid that, and it's over there that you do the automation. Then it means that from our point of view, what we want to get is exactly a way that you can do it much, much faster, much, much robust, but controlled. This is all about the low code that we present. But now, what is low code in detail? Just a quick introduction. Steve is going to show you in the end. With OutSystems, low code covers an IDE where you actually code. It's visual coding. You don't need to do it by hand. It's dragging and dropping some visual elements. You have pre-built visual elements that are going to cover the entire spectrum of what your users want to get, comparing with applications like Facebook, like LinkedIn, and so on. These kind of patterns are available. Others like dashboards and so on, everything is available. It could be extended. This could be customized in the way that goes and ties exactly to your brand and your brand guidelines. You manage your data. The data is going to be stored the way that you want, and it will be accessible not just through the platform, but as well from external systems. You can connect to all sorts of APIs existing on the market, either because they are built in or they can be easily integrated into the platform. The DevOps cycle that I explained before, we also cover that spectrum. You can plug existing tools that you already use on your organization, or you can use the built-in functionalities that come with our platform. And last but not least, you can also host your application inside our cloud. We have a platform as a service that you can easily set up in minutes, and you can get your system up and running very easily. Now, looking into the technology, but how can you use the technology? Based on our experience with customers, we divided the way that customers are using the technology in 3 different areas. Either customers are trying to solve issues inside their own organizations, and for that we call applications that are digital operations. Applications like HR applications, like internal portals, like assessments that you need to do on a specific production line. This is digital operations. They are applications that are target only for internal users, where you can enforce some processes, but you cannot enforce everything. You need still to understand how your customer base is going to use your applications. The second is digital experience. For us, digital experience, it's whenever you are building applications that are exposed to the outside world. to your real customers. Okay? It means that you need to be aware of your brand. The brand is going to be exposed, and the way that you are going to expose it, you need to be careful. This is the digital experience, and most of the times here you enter the space of mobile. Mobile, it's a must. In this area, you must immediately target this spectrum of mobile applications. And finally, it's digital cores. You want to replace your own legacy systems or to create a new system, brand new. This is digital cores. It's a completely different use case. Usually, the time frame that we see this happening, the first one takes up to 2 to 3 months maximum. In 2 months, you have a system up and running. The second, it takes 3 to 4 months because you need to be aware of the brand and so on. And the final one usually goes until 6 months. This is the time frame that our customers are using the technology for each use case. The second concept that I want to introduce is, okay, you have already identified a project, you want to create a success story, but now I need to understand how can I get there, right? And for us, the way that you can get there is through 4 different elements. Structure, talent, process, and the ecosystem. The structure, you need to understand, if you are prepared to do what you are aiming to do. If I'm going to start a new digital experience, I'm prepared to do this. I have everyone on board to do this. I have the marketing team with me. I have the developers with me. I have the business with me. This is the structure. The talent, I need the resources with the right skill set. Okay? It doesn't matter if I have developers, I need to have specific developers that I know that are going to be relevant. From the process point of view, all the steps that are surrounding the way that you deliver a project, they are identified and they need to be followed, right? If you want to reproduce this very fast, an automated way. And the ecosystem, for sure, that what you are going to build it's not going to run alone. It's going to run aside of, or it's going to run connected to other systems, and you need to identify other systems as well. And the third concept is which phase of this maturity process you want to aim for. Some of the customers start small, meaning that we want to start with only one application, and because I'm going to create a huge disruption inside my organization, I want to be sure that I'm doing this on baby steps, let's say. And this is what we call the foundation stage, where we are running one project at a time. The second is that we are going to run up to 4, 5 projects at the same time on top of the same processes. We have already the process well designed, and we can go and do this not faster, but with more capacity looking into the teams. And full digital enterprises whenever we have not IT departments, actually other departments involved on this digital transformation, building also software. Very briefly, the structure of a foundation, it's the easiest example, it's like this. Okay, a project from our point of view, and this is a digital transformation project that you are going to start, it must at least have the following elements. A business user, always on board with you along the project, and this project that I'm showing here for this structure, it's digital operations. The business user will be with you and with the product owner from IT. They are going to work close together. Next, you will have a group of people, in this case 3 to 4 maximum. There are the developers, 2 or 3 developers, and 1 tech lead. This is a senior developer. And finally, you have here a space for an architect. An architect, from this point of view, it will be done by the tech leads and the DevOps, also by the tech leads. Because in the end, you have the platform behind to support you doing this. If we look the same example, but now for digital experience, slightly different. And why? Because there are some areas that you need to cover. Like I said before, marketing and some specific key users. Here the key users are the customer-based users that are going to use the app. And the UX. UX here plays an important role as well because you have this brand, you have the risk to jeopardize the brand from one side, but also to understand what your actually customers are going to expect whenever they are interacting with your application. And you have testers and front-end developers. There are specific skills that you need to have in place afterwards. Customer service. Whenever you have someone using your app outside the organization, you need to be also open to receive some of the information from them, and you need this kind of structure. If you want to run multiple projects in parallel, you need to create here some add-ons, let's say. You need a program manager, and you need dedicated resources to go through activities that previously they were done inside the teams, but they are running in multiple streams at the same time. From the digital transformation, but at a bigger scale, what is happening is sometimes you need to involve what we call the citizen developers. Citizen developers, they are not from the IT. Most of the time they are developers. If you look into an organization like a university, they could be the students. They are citizen developers. They are going to use the assets that IT is going to provide. Okay? And this is also the structure to capture this. One of the key points that you need to be aware is talent. You cannot do this without people. And there are different skills that you need to be aware. This is some areas that you can afterwards dig a little bit, and we have some playbooks that you can see and take. But this is the overall spectrum of resources that you need to put in place to do this. From the ecosystem, with our platform, you can already cover a bunch of areas like analytics, like the development itself, the code analysis. But in some situations, you need to extend a little bit with other tools that are going to be glued together into the platform to support the entire journey of the software development that we were talking about. From the process point of view, this is an example. We divided this in 4 different stages. The setup, first you try to identify what you want to aim for. You go for a next step that is a demand. You try to do the ideation of what you are going to build. Then you enter a delivery cycle that most probably is going to be through several iterations until you reach a point where you go and roll out the application. And you enter the 4th stage, that is to close the cycle, where you go to production, that actually you are going to retrofit all the information into, again, the pipeline. Okay? If you look the same process that was for digital operations into digital experience, this is slightly different, especially the area where you need to have MVP definition. Most of the times you go to the market once you have something that will be added value, otherwise you cannot go, okay? And you need to actually define this. And from the iterations point of view, it's more or less the same, but you need to be aware of something that is going to support you. If you go to the mobile space, it's how you are going to reach your customer base. It will be through the app stores. and you need to control that cycle as well. If you go to release to the app stores, you need to use that asset that is not owned by you, and then control it and monitoring. And now, let's go for a quick demo.
Thank you, Paolo.
So I think we've got 5 minutes or so. So I was going to give you a very high-level overview of what we can actually build with the OutSystems platform. But if you'd like further details, please come and visit us on the stand and we can show you more detail. So we can build both web and mobile experiences, as Paolo has been talking about, both for operational transformation and digital experience type platforms. I'm going to show you a couple of sample applications. So here is actually our visual IDE. We're actually building applications. This particular one is a energy app that you can basically access online and also through your mobile device for actually monitoring your energy usage from like a digital experience type application. So I show you what it actually looks like from a web perspective. We've got a nice visual interface. We can see our power consumption over the last number of days, etc. But the key thing with this is that we've not built this all from scratch. So it's a visual platform where you can drag and drop the components on the screen. But the key thing that we can also provide is the ability to actually have this community portal, which we call the OutSystems Forge, that has thousands of different connectors and components as open source that you can just drag and drop into your environment. So I can connect to IoT devices, machine learning, cloud storage, data connectors. So I say it's pretty much everything from Facebook to AS400. We've pretty much got a connector for in terms of getting data, blending it and presenting that out to the end user. So that's really key for us in terms of having that fast way to actually build your applications. And hopefully if this still works okay, let's have a look. So my screen is actually locked. So I'm just showing my Android screen here. So if I open up the Smart Power app that was also built with the platform, which is actually the mobile experience, you can see here that we can also create both native Android and iOS applications. We build them exactly the same way as you build the apps from a visual perspective. They've got a nice user experience. This one is more mobile-centric, so effectively I can look at my devices, I can see my energy consumption over the different time periods, I can control things such as my thermostat, my living room, my IoT devices. I can even actually pay my bills. So I've got my bill here. Let's see if this actually will work in my demo. So let's go and try and pay my bill. Let's pay my bill, let's scan my credit card, allow access to the camera, and then let's see if this scans this properly. There we go. And that has picked up the long card number from, again, a plugin that we've got in the Forge to do that camera and OCR recognition. But these are things that you don't have to build yourself. They're just part of the platform in terms of actually having access to those. So it's very fast to get to that level of transformation. What the platform can also do is give you the ability to do stateful workflows. So this particular application is very much focused on B2B digital experience. But we can also do things such as stateful business process workflows for doing order approvals, order management, more of a B2B internal type applications. So this particular one, as an example, actually will take information from Salesforce and Oracle to actually blend customer opportunities and customer data and products, so you can build an order, statefully approve that for your internal workflows, present the dashboards, do approvals, but again, all built visually. And as an example, these demo apps were built by our internal teams. Typically, it's one developer over 2 weeks will build an app of this scale and magnitude. So very, very quick to produce these types of experiences. So that was my 10,000 mile an hour demonstration. But I wanted to leave time for any questions before we sort of wrap up.
Any questions from anybody? Everybody's running out of energy, are they? No? All right, well, with that, I'll save you any other questions. I won't ask any more questions. But thank you very much to both of you. Really much appreciated, very interesting. And we're sure we'll hear from you guys again sometime soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.